really know what's going on over there other than everybody's dumb.
The instant you step out of line, you say something that they don't like and they don't like you personally, they're going to use all those pre-existing laws and they're going to use it on you.
A woman exposed her male genitalia to women and underage girls. That's what happened.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way. It's super cringe.
We're following COVID. Then there of course is a writing candidate period. We're following COVID protocol, which you know.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
The COVID protocol
It's just
almost killed you.
Okay,
Yes.
we're gonna remove this.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Are you okay? That hit you right in the head. You know, you should sue Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti. They were at the game without masks, and they
exactly.
the
Healthy is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Well, in that case, okay. So now we move forward.
How unsafe of them, Eric Butler. Very unsafe. How
Insanity.
I know.
You know,
Unbelievable.
gotta you do it for the Rona. You know what I mean?
The plexiglass has always saved us. I think that's what was keeping everybody safe the whole time. And now what are they going to do without it? I don't know. What's new with you? It's snowing here. I don't know if you can see that behind me, but it's stupid. It's snowing here, and I don't like it.
It's snowing. Wow, it's almost 90 here, bro.
That's disgusting.
It's
And you're
80s.
what time is it there? Like 1 in the morning or something because of the time change?
It's 1 p.m. It is 87 degrees, and I don't really have too many complaints about it. I think it is hilarious though, just that first clip, bro. Like the plexiglass. Remember, we also saw that very viral clip of the guy at the grocery store who's trying to give her the $5 bill, and then she's like, "Oh no, you have to come over here." And it's like, dude, how did we get here? But I'm preaching to the choir. We all know how insane it is, but we do this every week anyways.
Well, I think if the U.S. gets rid of the daylight savings time, we're not going to have any choice but to do it up here as well, because all of a sudden it's going to be an hour behind in New York City or something. It's not going to make any sense. We have no power here in Canada is what I'm saying. We must abide by the rest of the world. Our first story, of course, is Joe Rogan wanting to, mock the media, rightfully so, because of Hunter Biden, and he's slamming the Hunter Biden laptop story. Now, that would get you banned off of Twitter last year. That would get your page suspended if you're a newspaper page. And Trump said it was real. Remember that woman from 60 Minutes said, no, it's fake. What are you talking about? It's not been verified. I have a friend who said it wasn't verified. Giuliani's people wasn't enough. Trump's people wasn't enough. The guy who gave them the laptop wasn't enough. Basically, all these investigations weren't enough, but Joe Biden lied at the, the debates there. He lied about it. Nothing true to that at all. And then he did say it was Russian propaganda, which was really funny. So eventually it became, of course, once Biden, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, became the most vote getter in American history.
So
and it was
popular.
acceptable. That's right. Then it became okay to talk about it again, just like coronavirus stuff, the lab leak theory, and everything else. But Joe Rogan criticized the media for creating a narrative over Hunter Biden's lost laptops after it was revealed incriminating content on the computers were real. Now, Eric, just without having it like independently verified and people going through the laptop data and everything, if somebody who works at a laptop repair, like a computer repair shop, has 2 laptops and a couple of hard drives dropped off to them by a guy who looks like Hunter Biden, has him sign it as Hunter Biden, and then inside these laptops and hard drives are information of Hunter Biden's pictures of Hunter Biden, Malia Obama's credit card, him naked tons of time in it. You would probably think that it was him or some extremely elaborate sting operation, but you would still think that the contents were real, no matter who owned the laptop. Of course, if they could prove that it was somebody else's, they would have said it's not Hunter Biden's laptop, and that's what they would have ran with, but they couldn't even do that. So I'll read on a bit more and say during a Saturday Joe Rogan experience. Rogan called out journalists for at first suppressing the story broken by the New York Post before the 2020 election. After the Post broke the story, mainstream outlets such as New York Times and Weibo shied away from reporting on the topic. Twitter even locked the Post accounts for a fortnight. That's how you know you're reading a British paper when they use fortnight. Outlets deemed the reports regarding incriminating text messages, photos, and financial documents found on the device to be unproven misinformation, as it always is. Files found on his personal computer included emails of shady business dealings, naked drug rape photos with prostitutes. So there's so much creepy stuff in there, not to mention his like weird text messages with his niece, which I don't want to get us banned for talking about. You can just look up Hunter Biden text messages with his niece, the daughter of his dead brother, Beau Biden, I believe. And that's some creepy stuff. He's got a picture of Malia Obama, Barack Obama's daughter's credit card. You can look that up yourself. And then just a ton of photos of him naked, Eric, and smoking what appears to be crack. What's your source on this, Eric Butler?
Well, the first thing that's hilarious to me is that they use this term verify, which obviously they never tried to verify it. They didn't care to verify it because in their world, verified just means we said it, right? Like Project Veritas could go around proving all sorts of things, but they will just smear him because he is not inside the establishment group. So the word verification is just like with everything else we see, they manipulate the words. Now they're not going to come out and say, well, we didn't meet you know, they're not going to come be upfront about it like there are with some of the other word changes, but verify and misinformation, those are all just, you know, left-wing terms that mean we didn't say it. It didn't come from us, so it can't possibly be true. And then there's also the little bit of I've heard some awful things about this Hunter Biden laptop from I think his name was Eric Metaxas. He used to come on Bannon and stuff, and like this guy needs to clearly be walking around with heavy security because he has like done a deep dive into some of the things on this laptop, and they're no doubtedly going to be coming for him. But it's also hilarious how Hunter Biden can throw around N bombs, right? Remember, he was like joking with his lawyer or something, and he was dropping the N word. Nobody cared about that.
Right.
And then it also it reminds me of way back in the day with the Hillary email scandal, how the news then they were claiming that, well, it's illegal for you to have this. It's very similar, right? They were saying that, you know, they deleted or suspended the New York Post, one of the oldest publications in the country, from Twitter because they said that the information was stolen. Kind of like how when Chris Cuomo, Fredo, was on TV telling you that you can't read these emails. Everything you get comes from us. So they, again, it's par for the course in them creating this false reality, this false narrative. We don't know what a woman is today, but 3 years ago, our slogan was quite literally "Believe all women." So it's just another part of their fake reality, and you can see that they're in these death throes because people aren't buying it anymore. Even AOC has come out and said that Biden is and I think I mentioned this maybe on the Tatum stream or whatever, but sometimes I think people forget that the hard left doesn't like Joe Biden at all. They want him to go further left, which would be absolutely insane. But I said all that to say this is just another piece of their fraudulent reality puzzle, and it's all collapsing, and that's why we're seeing so much censorship. I was, of course, I woke up to a Instagram censoring me, and I simply challenged it, and then they reinstated it only like an hour or so later. So weird stuff going on.
What do you mean? What did they do? What did they do to my poor boy?
They I posted a reel, I think exactly a week ago, either before or after the stream, about the you know, how they're going to come at you basically every step of your life, from the gay BC books to the indoctrinating teachers to the TikTok propaganda when you're a teenager to the protesting when you're a college kid. And they took it down and they said that it was incitement. So it wasn't hate speech. It wasn't medical misinformation. It was incitement. And I think they did that because I had captioned it with a Nancy Pelosi quote about how you have to throw a punch for the children. And of course,
no, go ahead.
No. Well, I was gonna say, So I'm just about to like make another video talking about it, and then I see that it had been reinstated, so I just changed the caption of it, and it's just all backwards, bro. I don't know what to make of any of it.
Well, when Kamala Harris had those children acting for her, I think that was a special time that you should have pointed out there. But how did this Tatum live stream go again? Props for that. You know?
Yeah, that was me, Anthony, Brian Logan, Amala. I don't remember her last name, but you know, the PragerU girl.
Ekponobi.
Yes. And Savannah, not Savannah Hernandez, but the other Savannah who went viral. I don't know her last name. Pardon me. I apologize.
The African
She went
Savannah?
viral. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's from New Orleans. I don't know.
Oh, I meant like the actual literal Savannah.
No,
like Sahara, Savannah. Savannah's a thing too.
fair enough. But she's from New Orleans, and she went viral. I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, maybe longer, maybe a longer time ago. But it was a good conversation, and of course, we at that point all the rage was Ketanji Brown Jackson not knowing what a woman was. To which I suggested, you obviously need to follow up and ask her what a black person is, but nobody's going to touch that with a 10-foot pole because they're cowards.
Okay, a lot of racists on that stream.
Sorry.
So the Biden laptop, first of 3 misplaced laptops. When I said 2, I was wrong. Good thing we fact check on unauthorized opinions available across most platforms. 3 misplaced laptops belonging to Biden in October 2020, which came into computer repairman John Paul McIsaac. He sounds like a rock star from the 60s. Possession after an inebriated Biden brought in for repairs at a Delaware shop. So Hunter Biden's in his rich area in Delaware. He stumbles in intoxicated and inebriated from something. He's like, take my laptops, please. They need to be fixed. And then he forgets it probably because he's blacked out. Files found in Biden's personal computer included emails showing shady business dealings by the current U.S. president's son with foreigners. Of course, it never came of that because you can't really prove anything based off of like the big guy and stuff like that, you know? Text that showed him repeatedly using the N-word, as you mentioned. Yeah. But like, I don't think anybody was mad at, like, the left-wing people should be mad at that because they're mad at all of that. But like, to a guy like you and me, I feel like he was obviously joking and probably knew this guy a long time. Having said that, though, I don't text you calling you the N-word.
It's true.
I mean, if you want me to. Accidentally overpaying a prostitute $25,000 to an account like to his dad. Hunter, you're overpaying prostitutes too often. I don't even know what a Biden impression. You're overpaying the prostitutes, man. Come on.
Prostitutes, man. People of color. That's
it also uncovered a 2015 effort by Biden to set up a meeting between Procharsky, an advisor, Ukraine energy firm. You don't hear much about that anymore right now. Nope. And his then father, or always his father, but then Vice President Joe Biden, in other instances of the scion looking to cash in on family connections. I think that's about it. I was looking to see if there's anything else about. There's an infamous photo of him in a bathtub smoking a cigarette. Just such a weird guy. And to think that he may or may not allegedly, possibly, who knows, why would he have Obama's credit card?
Who knows, bro?
Again, go look that up on more secure places than this, you guys, if you want to look into that. Yeah, I don't think he really goes into anything else. Here's a picture with him and his dad. He looked pretty healthy here, frankly. This might be the best he's looked.
Here's the thing, though, too, is that, okay, this guy, he's more than 50 years old, right? So this is not, they always talk about Joe Biden's son to try to give you that, to try to conjure up that he's like, a teenager or something, which is obviously false. Joe Biden is 100. His son is 60. So we're not talking about children here. But imagine the bubble that Hunter Biden has to live in to only less than a year before his father is like sworn in as president. Or wait, during basically only months before the campaign really starts heating up, right? Like, this is 2019, April of 2019. So we're well into like primaries and stuff. Like this is all happening, and he is so wrapped up in his own little bubble, his own little world of nothing could possibly happen to him, that he can't even take care of a computer with gigabytes or terabytes of incriminating evidence because he knows that nothing can get to him. I mean, literally. Now, okay, we remember Trump famously said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and my fans would still like me. That's where we are with this Biden situation. It's like no matter what we see with our own eyes, it just doesn't matter because they are untouchable. And then it's mind-boggling what they can get away with. Meanwhile, some guy who drank a Coors Light at the Capitol in DC, is in solitary confinement while Joe Biden and Hunter Biden have been, and the whole family. I think is it Miranda Devine or Peter Schwartz or something? There's books from all sorts of New York Post writers that have done deep dives into the terrible things that this entire family has done. Ashley, his little, I don't know if it's his niece or his daughter, but she was, allegedly committing credit card fraud all over the place, fighting with people, throwing around her name in New York City. And they could quite literally shoot somebody on Madison Avenue, and the media would tell us that we can't believe our lying eyes. It might have been a metaverse scam. Like they just will never, that nothing can get to them. Same with Hillary Clinton, right? No matter how many people commit suicide, friends of the Clintons, where it's, if you even question it, you are automatically a conspiracy theorist. And just to bring it full circle, that is because they have built this successfully, I might add, successfully built this entirely fake reality. And anybody who doesn't subscribe to it is, banned from Twitter, kicked off Instagram. I don't know if they even let Tucker back on Twitter or the Babylon Bee or how that's going, but it's like, if you don't buy into it, we're going to get rid of you, because they think that getting rid of you on social media is going to change your mind, which we all know is not true.
I wonder how that Trump-Clinton lawsuit's going to go. It's going to take years and years until nobody remembers who either of them are. There's some more stuff on here, though. Each holds sensitive information on Biden's father, and in many cases, incriminating photos, videos, and communications sent by Hunter himself. The second was seized by federal agents in October, shortly after reports first surfaced regarding the contents of 2015 MacBook, and a third, which is still missing, taken by Russian drug dealers after they partied with Biden in Vegas. So they know, these Russian guys, they can just get Hunter Biden wasted, and then they just take his laptop with probably tons of stuff in it. And of course, they're leaking stuff from the third laptop. Is footage of naked Biden seemingly doing drugs with a prostitute's hotel room. And there's tons of those pictures. After filming himself having sex with a woman using his laptop in January 2019, Hunter left the camera rolling as he recounted a Vegas bender in which he's 18 days going around from penthouse suite to penthouse suite, sometime costing $10,000 a night. How, as the president's son who doesn't do anything, can you afford that? And the answer is you work for a Ukrainian energy firm where you get paid, I forget how much a month, it might have been $30,000, but it was some absurd amount of money per month. And like, it's basically a movie where you have one great son who's, I don't know much more about Biden other than he was in the military. So let's just, for sake of arguing, say he's the good son. And you got the screw up of the son who can't get anything right. It's like, what's the Chris Farley movie?
Black Sheep?
Not Black Sheep. Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Where he's the screw up. Oh, man. And I think that's basically Tommy Boy as well. I spent fucking crazy amounts of money, Hunter said. I was with these guys. This one guy was like, not like you anyway. Each night he'd be like, there's going to be so many people here, a crazy effing party, and each night it's nobody. Biden claimed Russian drug dealers stole the laptop for blackmail while he was close to overdosing in a Vegas hotel room, they revealed last year. Oh, man.
And let's just keep in mind, bro, we're talking about a 50-year-old man. This is not a 25-year-old kid partying with his parents' money. Like this, bro, it really is mind-boggling how this happens, bro. First of all, you're completely grown. Second of all, why? I mean, you can live this dream in private. Why do you have to record every weirdo thing you do? Who put you up to that? I mean, talk about self-snitching. We see it in the, with the younger hip hop generation as well, where they would literally make songs about crimes that they committed, and then they're surprised when they get locked up. Now, I will say, for all the Lils and the Youngs, all the little rappers out there, you know what? Free them all. Free them all. They didn't do nothing, right? If Hunter Biden can get away with living a lifestyle like this, then I say Pooh Shiesty, I don't care how many nightclubs you shot up, he should be free to go. You know, it doesn't really matter. Now, okay, I guess I won't compare. Actually, no, you know what it is? Buying hookers and doing drugs in hotel rooms, I think is probably very on par with, shooting blindly into a nightclub. Why not? Why not? We'll put them on the same level. I don't care. Somebody,
There
fight
it is.
me.
50 grand a month is what he made as a seat on the board. And we know how uncorrupt Ukraine is. This
And
article
he
is
got
very
that.
long. I've scrolled like a fifth of the way so far.
Oh yeah, the Daily Mail, they really go in, and they also use a whole bunch of pictures too. But wait, go up just a little bit. Go back up a little bit. $50,000 a month, and he got that because he used to work for Amtrak. What were the qualifications again? Just the Biden
I
name.
have no idea. Yeah. Leverage the aid to Ukraine. And then that's the firing of the prosecutor. I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to spread COVID all over this room. Yeah, through the magic of television, there was no sneeze. FOIA requests, more Hunter. Like, why is he taking naked photos of himself? He just wants to
That's what
remember
I'm
it, maybe?
saying. And
Yeah,
on
this
the
is all old
laptop, I
news.
mean, why not to give him any ideas, but why all on this laptop that you clearly can't keep track of? Why not your cell phone? Like, what was it all in his mind? Like, oh yeah, I need to record this interaction with this hooker right now, and like, what? Why? Because he can't remember?
I don't
Because he's
know.
such a dope thing
I
that he wants to
I
remember? I
think
don't
it's
understand.
I think it's part of what you're saying. Like, he's so protected that he can literally just be like, yeah, I'm going to document all this just for my own personal, whatever. 103,000 text messages. Who backs up their text messages, though, is the thing. Probably because you want dirt on people. 154,000 emails and 2,000 plus photos. I don't know who's backing up all these photos. Are Clooney and Rooney really set up for a dream team at Derby County? These Daily Mail is kind of like New York Post, just cover everything, right?
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal article, Cashin article. All right, let's move on. So for some Canadian content, actually, we do have some Beau Biden stuff here.
Yeah, the Beau
that you
Biden.
mentioned.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
He rakes in millions, spends fractions on kids programs. Beau Biden Foundation for the Protection of Children. Oh my God, Eric. It's going to be a bit of an unspoken thing here because we're on YouTube and we want to be employed at some point in our lives. Like the Beau Biden Foundation, the Biden Foundation has a charity for the protection of children. I'm just going to leave it at that. You fill in the blank here, you guys.
Yeah.
3.9 million in 2020, but spent only a fraction on its purported mission to help kids. Delaware based, of course, which was started in honor of Biden's late son, got an infusion of 1.8 million from the Biden Foundation before that group shut it down in 2020, according to the charity's filings. The Biden Foundation was started by Joe Biden and his wife Jill, who we all know is a brilliant doctor. Progress and prosperity for American families. So I'm not sure how that's the protection of children. 225 grand from entities tied to top political donor and bundler to President Biden. Despite 2 million plus windfall, the organization put only $500,000 in 2020 towards its stated purpose of protecting children from abuse, according to tax filings. I mean, as much as I don't care to believe that it did any good, spending a quarter of what you came in with, I mean, I don't think that's such a thing. Like, you're still they could spend nothing on it.
Well,
but like a quarter, you've got tons of salaries, I'm sure, and you've got to grease a ton of people. The charity spent 900 grand, with a large chunk of going to six-figure salaries of Biden cronies. Of course it did, but but they still gave $500,000 to children that they didn't have to, if that's actually what it went for.
yeah, if
You know
that's
what I'm saying
actually
there,
true. Yeah, I understand that, but I also think, though, there's some place in this article where they say typically a nonprofit like this should be spending around 75% of what they bring in on the stated mission. Of course, they're not doing that. And that is, that's us being generous in saying that this
There you go. Yeah,
protection
it
of
says that
children
here.
is actually real, right? Because while we want to remain on this platform for the time being, I think we can both agree that the Biden family doesn't have the best track record with, protecting children.
With
You
not
know,
smelling children.
yeah.
Bo's a
So,
handsome, but yeah, his daughter Haley Biden, I think, is the one involved with text messages with Hunter, but I could be mistaken. It could be a different one. And which is the one where Biden like kisses them on the lips weirdly? We're gonna have to find that, and then we'll be
oh
deleted
yeah,
from YouTube.
I do vaguely remember that. But here's the thing, though, is that this family has done nothing but lie, cheat, and steal. They talk like what do we hear this now? We don't hear this word too much or this phrase too much anymore. But it used to be all about systemic racism and structural racism. It's like, bro, you are the system. You've been in politics for 50 years. You might have had, in 1969 or 1972 or something, he might have been a legitimate politician, but he's become so far removed from that literally nothing he can do, nothing he does can ever be trusted anymore, whether it's the Ukraine situation, whether it's all sorts of weird, you know electric car promotions, global warming, sun monster stuff, Hunter Biden, who was very obviously laundering money allegedly with his paintings. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So nothing they do has ever been on the level. And there was a joke, a meme that I saw a week or so ago that did not get me censored from Instagram, but it says Joe Biden is driving the country like he stole it because he did. And that, like, nothing this family does has ever
Bro,
been considered legit. And this is disgusting.
dude.
Yeah. And
I have like so many nieces. I have a sister. I have a mother. I have a grandmother.
oh yeah, doesn't your brother have like 9 kids or something?
He does. They're
Okay.
holding hands here. I guess that's fine, but like he prefers to close his
Bro.
eyes. That's not just like on the side. That's right on the lips, man. Anyways, I don't know if I want to look at that anymore. That's so creepy. I can't even believe it. So let's get to our Canadian content. Our good friend Justin Bieber, Eric. Now, this wouldn't be a story that I think any one of us would cover if it wasn't a COVID-related story. So, Justin Bieber is having a concert. He tested positive last month, I think, in February. And of course, it's so scary that he's going to be on stage like 6 weeks later. But he's got a...
But really quick though, he
Mhm.
tested positive, and that was before his wife went into the hospital for blood clot like
Yeah.
symptoms. So, did they both get it, or am I jumping ahead? Did they both get the
You're
juice?
jumping ahead because I have no idea.
Okay, all right,
He-
fair enough.
Bieber doesn't really like promote anything that he's not getting paid for. So he's having a concert in Ottawa in front of 12,000 people, and the night before that they're having a unheralded mask-free hockey game. So this article by this woman I've never heard of course, because it's Canadian corporate media, is this article is done for this company, which we scroll down, it's called Post Media, right there. They own tons of papers, tons of websites, and they publish this story across all of their websites. So like the ones I saw in Montreal Gazette, the Ottawa Citizen, this is the National Post, their biggest one. And they say, fears, they can't name anybody who has any fears. This article brings in a wastewater expert. Now, for our American audience watching now, Canada is the last place in North America to remove its restrictions. Ontario just took away its mask mandate 6 days ago, on the 21st. The next closest was Hawaii 2 weeks before that. So Canada's so far behind in that. And now the way they're trying to scare people, because they can't let it go for some reason, we're still not allowed to fly or go on a train if we're unvaccinated. They're scaring people by they're measuring coronavirus in wastewater. So they're saying people are getting coronavirus from wastewater, and that's why we should all be afraid. I just wanted to make sure everybody saw me full screen saying that, because it
Wait,
is what they're saying.
How though? How are you getting it
I
from the
don't know.
wastewater?
I don't know. I don't even pay attention to this stuff because it's so 12,000 fans here concert, and then the other event is a hockey game. So I wrote an article about this because it's so dumb. So 12,000 people going to his concert, rebelnews.com/Andrew says, if you want to read it. And then the game, which is at the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, holds 18,652 for NHL games, according to Wikipedia. This whole time, Eric, since the beginning of March, there have been Toronto Raptors and Toronto Maple Leafs games in Toronto. How many fans do those hold? 20,000 for hockey, 19,000, almost 20,000 for basketball. So this whole time, there's been games going on without masks. Of course, even though the mask mandate was lifted, but half of the people aren't wearing masks in there. But still, these places have been at full capacity for 3 weeks, and there's no problem with that. But now that he's coming into Ottawa, the capital city, and there's a game and they don't want the mask mandates to be on, or they want the mask mandates to stay on. They want the restrictions to stay on. They publish this article across all their publications and say how dangerous it is, and say that there's fears, in quotes, of course, of people saying we've lifted it too early. Literally the last people to lift it, and we've lifted the restrictions too early. It makes no sense. There'll likely be this biggest indoor event in the city since mask mandates were revoked. Who cares? It has to happen sometimes. So they have this guy who's a waster expert say it's a foregone conclusion that releasing these restrictions is going to lead to super spreader events. There has not been any super spreader events, Eric. And I mentioned in my article, there was the Super Bowl. There was a Montreal Canadiens game last year where 20,000 people were outside. There was the Toronto Blue Jays traveling to Texas to play the Texas Rangers with 0 restrictions. And that was last summer. There was no super spreader events after that. The players didn't. So Post Media here, they've drummed up this huge, I'm calling it a campaign because you've put it across all your papers here to condemn Justin Bieber for having a concert, and then try to use that to say, oh, we're taking off the restrictions too early. And they're just like, oh, you should still be wearing a mask as an additional layer of protection, which we know doesn't do anything. And he says transmissions will occur from these events. The question is how much. Plan that you were like somebody who's not wearing a mask who has COVID. How do you, this Dr. Hipster here, just completely making it none of the stuff ever comes true, Eric. We did all of our stuff in our province based on the science table. Every single time they've gotten it wrong. Every single prediction they make, they got wrong. Everything they've predicted in their data sets have been wrong. None of it's ever been right. And now Justin Bieber, the guy who does, like you mentioned to me off air, jerseys for the team. He had this Tim Biebs thing with Tim Hortons where they had the donuts with him and the merchandise with him. All this guy does is promote Canada, and they use his concert with just 12,000 people compared to all these sporting events going on to say, hey, screw you, Justin. We're going to try to use you as an example as to why we shouldn't lift restrictions. It's insane. It's truly insane that they still, this girl found that are against it to say there's fears, everyone. There's fears that we're all going to have a super spreader event. Super spreader events don't exist.
No, they don't. And it's just like you said, it's totally a campaign. And that's why the weird wording, there's fears. No, you just planted that fear. Who did you talk to? Are you telling me that there's a bunch of I don't even know how old Justin Bieber is now, or back in the day it would have all been little maybe high school girls or junior high girls who were all into Justin Bieber. But do you really think that the diehard believers are gonna just be so scared? No, they want to go see Justin. They've been locked up for the past 2.5 years. They're not really worried about it anymore. So these publications, or this publication or whatever, this media conglomerate, can come out and say there's fears. Well, those are the ones that you just foisted upon people. Were you outside the venue talking to people who were wearing a mask and a shield and they were so scared but they were still going to the concert? I mean, where did the fear come from? And this again reminds me of that other Canadian publication that we talked about, I don't know, a couple of months ago now about the guy who was so scared by the people who didn't wear a mask while he was vacationing in Florida,
Mhm.
but he was also vacationing in Florida. It's the same thing. It's like,
Yes.
wait, so, and also, sorry, now I'm like on this train of consciousness or whatever, but the 12,000 actually seems like a pretty small number. I mean, Justin Bieber could probably fill up a 30,000 person stadium if, right? Like, I mean, he's still
Yeah.
a big star, right? Like, he could
He could,
easily
in
fill up the,
Toronto, he could.
yeah, he could fill
But
up the,
given Mhm.
hmm? No, go
he
for
could
it.
fill up he could fill up the Sky Dome in Toronto, otherwise known as the whatever,
Is
Rogers
that,
Center.
oh, is that, where do the
That holds
Raptors play?
50,000. The Raptors play at Scotiabank Arena, which holds
Okay.
20,000. So I'm guessing the concert, they have to like have room for a stage and a whole bunch of stuff, which just takes away the
A bunch of
capacity
seating.
for that
Yeah.
there. But they're measuring the wastewater. So I'm guessing like your toilet water after you flush it, and all your wastewater, they're measuring that for COVID. So wastewater levels suggest rates of COVID-19 are already half as high. So this is what they've gone to
This
because they
can't be
can't
real.
prove it.
This can't be
It
real,
is
bro.
because they can't prove that people have it. The wastewater, there's a bunch of coronavirus in the wastewater that people are flushing down their drain. Unless I'm completely wrong, and I'm open to the fact that I am. But it's still like, why aren't you measuring this off of people? And they said the test positivity rate has been rising in Ottawa and is now at 18%. Of course it's rising. The only people going to get tested are people who think they might have it. And you still have less than a fifth of people who think they have it getting tested or for other reasons that have it. Like, that's still a low number, dude. 18% of people take what, less than 1% of that? It's insane. And they do this long, if this weekend's large events and other maskless social gatherings across the city do lead to further increase in transmissions, it will likely show up in the city's wastewater within the next week. Like, what's stopping them from going and dumping a bunch of positive tests or, like, you know what I mean, into the river, punching a bunch of positive water into the wastewater? Be like, oh, it's so tired and
But
it's so like,
how,
move
how
on,
can
man.
we
Move on,
trust this
Dr.
though?
Doug Manuel.
How can we
You
possibly
can't.
trust this? We know that the rapid test and the PCR testing and all that stuff was questionable at its very best. So now we're supposed to believe somebody who's sifting through wastewater is like, well, this is how bad it. What? It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know how else to say it. It does. I mean, is there somebody at home right now thinking, well, oh, the toilet water I just flushed could infect somebody else with Rona, so now I need to wear a mask to the Justin Bieber concert? What?
No, I think the idea is that it shows how many people have it right now by their wastewater testing positive.
Okay, all right.
That's the
I
idea
get.
there.
Okay,
Because
I get it.
they can't get these numbers from anywhere else. Like, so if we were like, they're just going to start saying like the amount of people who have high temperature, we put an infrared camera outside and we spotted 23% of people having a high temperature on their forehead. That could be people with coronavirus. Like, that's how far they're gonna have to go. Oh, it's so pathetic.
Yeah, it's
You're
absolutely pathetic. And just for the record, I
Mhm.
thought we had moved on to WW3, but clearly this is still sort of the contingency plan. If that falls through or people aren't buying it, then we're going back. We're going back to Rona, guys. Okay,
We'll
got it.
do it live.
Yeah.
Your third home, San Francisco area, then New York. Well, I guess so.
Yeah.
Your second home, and then South Dakota, and then Arizona. But so your second home, Kyrie Irving did that thing where he bought front row tickets to a Nets game, even because he's not allowed to play, but he can sit front row and not be masked and watch. There's new backlash against Mayor Eric Adams, who's nothing's changed under him. Crime's still there. I'd have to look at that, but it looks like nothing's changed. For every action, there's a reaction. New Yorkers have plenty of them when it comes to Adams' new COVID vaccine exemption for professional athletes and performers. It appears most are angry. It's not a good look. Like, this is the same thing, man. The MSN, who just steals their articles from somebody else. So I don't know where this one is because there's no byline on it. But like, it's not a good look. Said Upper West Side resident Eddie Morrison. So you just took a random guy named Eddie, and he's just like, it doesn't New York to have exemptions for fucking basketball players. Even though we're 2.5 years into this, it doesn't look good. It's a no-win situation for him, said Kevin Hogan. So you're literally just, your evidence isn't even tweets, it's people on the street. Go ahead.
Well, first I was going to say I think this MSN article comes from CBS for whatever that's worth. It's all fake. But another thing that's funny about this is Eric Adams, when he got in, right? There was for some reason people thought he might change something, but that's obviously not true. I mean, slowly but surely he walked it back as people really started to get incredibly angry. But it's just like he came in, he's like, I'm gonna stick with the mandates because when they get these jobs, they obviously have to prove their allegiance to this establishment that gave him the job. So he has to come in and say, we're keeping the mandates. The new health commissioner who has said against Eric Adams, by the way, he said that he wants kids to be wearing the mask indefinitely. And while Adams conveniently rolls back the mandate, which never made sense from the beginning. Home team, traveling team. I mean, could Kyrie play at Madison Square Garden? I mean, he would technically be a visitor at that point if he, plays for Brooklyn, but he's going to Manhattan to play against the Knicks. So none of it makes sense. Guys can come from Orlando or Memphis or whatever and play. He could actually go play in San Francisco against the Warriors, but an unvaccinated Warriors player wouldn't be able to play at home. And it gets very confusing. But also, I just thought it was funny that Kyrie, I think was he in Memphis or maybe Miami or something, when he dropped 60, he had a 50-point night and then he had a 60-point night that basically, because these guys, look, bro, I know a little bit about basketball, and these guys can turn it on and off. Like Kyrie can come out there, drop 60 points in a game and say, wouldn't you don't you want to win some more games? Don't we want to go to the playoffs? Isn't that going to be a little bit more convenient for the city? Isn't that going to be some revenue, right? Because unvaccinated people can go to the games, which wasn't even the case, 90 days ago. I forget when that mandate was lifted. And that's another thing too, is that they jumble up all this stuff so it's all confusing. So, there's a private sector, and then there's a public sector, and then there's for kids, and then there's for restaurants, and then there's for gyms, and we're gonna confuse you and then slowly get rid of them. And then by the time they're all gone, we're gonna ask you for a thank you because we we let you live your life again, so you should be thanking us. It's absolutely insane. And this is probably the most angering thing out of the whole 2 years, is that they're literally telling you right to your face, yeah, we're going to let this millionaire who knows how to bounce a ball better than you, he can do whatever he wants, but you can't go back to work. That has to be infuriating.
A little bit more from the article here. This one person says they've lost 7 friends to COVID, and I know 76 people who've had COVID and suffered terribly. I need a fact check on that one, but
yeah, that's
Eric Adams says tough choice, but difficult choice. Is it really a difficult choice? I mean, how much further along can we be? Sources say that because they want to have unvaccinated people come and work for the city. More than 1,400 other city workers have lost their job because they didn't get the vaccine. Many say the mayor should hire them back. Again, even if this person is on the side I agree with, Lottie Ward from the Upper West Side is not like a representative of anybody other than herself or himself. I don't know. But like you're getting two random people's quotes on this to prove what? That there are people outside that like have these opinions. You can get that for anything. I can go outside and be like, is Harry Potter the greatest movie ever? Little Davy Brown from Whitby, Ontario, Canada says it is. Therefore, believe it, everybody.
Well, I think what they're trying to do with that, I think what it kind of feels like to me is that they're actually surprised by that. Like, and I think they want you to be surprised by it. Like, we found these two people who, like, can you believe they think that Eric Adams is wrong for this? Like, how bizarre is that? Like, I think that's what they're going for, is they're trying to convince you that we found these two fringe people who don't agree with what Eric Adams has been doing. Like, can you believe that up here in the Upper West Side, where everybody just plays the game, like, obeys, everything to the T. And we found these two people who don't agree. Like, that's weird, huh? That's what I think they're going for. But I don't know, man. Like, it's New York it's done, bro. It's cooked. Stick a fork in it. It's over. I said a long time ago, way back when this first started in 2020, I said that even if they make, we're talking about like before the juice was even a thing. We're talking about when we're just still dealing with masks. You couldn't even get on the train without a mask. Of course, I did, and nobody said anything. But anyways, that it was going to take them a decade, 10 years to get back to any sense of normalcy, and that was if they had made every proper decision, every sane decision from like after George Floyd was killed. After the first round of riots, if they would have made every decision the correct decision as far as getting rid of mandates and letting people go back to work and just living a normal life, if they would have done everything correctly in the summer of 2020, they were still looking at a 10-year cleanup from the damage they had caused. And obviously 2 years later, they're not even close, not even remotely close. And I hate that it kind of is, I hate that it turns into this like Democrat Republican thing, but I guarantee you that Curtis Sliwa would have had the city moving in a better direction than Eric Adams, 100%. Because he's just a down to
And
earth
everybody
guy.
would be wearing berets.
And everybody, mandatory berets and name tags. You have to wear a name tag around the city, so it becomes like a small town. That's a Seinfeld joke.
Canada is so lost as a country. Like, there's still people that think Trudeau's just doing a great job. He's done the best they can. He was mocked all across Europe. He gave a speech to almost nobody. Like 5 parliaments in European Union, or 4 of them, and then an Irish senator all called him a tyrant, which is fine. Like, you get your 50 minutes of fame for that in your video clip, but it just goes to show you those opinions exist elsewhere. And one of them was German, and we know how liberal Germany is, and Ireland's very liberal too. They call those people far right, but the Ukrainian Nazis are fine. But Canada's a mess, and I was looking at some statistics earlier today, and the most people for 2020, the most people left in any quarter since 1978. Now, is that because they were locked in the country and couldn't leave last quarter, so they all just started leaving towards the end of the year? That's maybe, but for that many people to be leaving goes to show you that people don't want to be here. Everybody I know has at least talked about moving somewhere that's more free, and that's never happened before. Some people moved to Alberta, turned out, and I'll show you a video in a second why it's not so great there. And people want to move to Texas. Two people moved to Florida that I know that worked with us. And then my friend wants to move to Tennessee, stuff like that. We're all thinking about it. I know 2 comedians moving to Texas, just everyone. And, probably not even their mother, because they are boomers and they love Justin Trudeau, want to get out of here. And I'm going to show you a video, Eric, as to why they want to get out of here. Now, there are still protests going on in the country. There's still protests going on in Ottawa and in Calgary. Calgary's an Alberta conservative. It's not. The premier there, the governor, claimed there would never be a vaccine passport. He lied. They had one a few months later. Can't trust him. Can't trust the establishment.
Do they still have it? Do they still have the passport?
No.
Okay,
no,
so
they got rid of it sooner than most, but he still said he doesn't even know what it is, and then he ended up making one. So right now in Calgary, there's still protests that happen every week, and they walk down the street, they say freedom, that's it. No violence. They got attacked by Antifa last week or a couple weekends ago. But they just walk. So in order to deter them, they started saying, "Oh, you guys are having noise complaints. You can't block the road," which you would need a permit for anybody. So like noise pollution, road blocking, this stuff, that, and the other. But they also have a new enforcement on the noise pollution, where you can't honk. So if you're near the protest, you can't honk in support because of Ottawa. Like, that's such like China shit, where it's like, oh, the protesters' way of protest is honking. Shut it down. No honking. Which is what they did in Ottawa. So in Calgary, if you're honking, whether it's for people or not, you're getting pulled over and you're getting like a $90 ticket. So I want to show you.
You can honk the horn, like if somebody is literally texting at the wheel when the light turns green.
You don't know. How do you know?
Okay.
So here's a few people being pulled over for it.
Hi, sir. Mocha with Rebel News. Are you guys getting a ticket for honking? For honking.
Okay. Sleep well. Piece of shit.
What do you make of this?
Yo, it's bullshit. Let's get their fucking freedoms and rights. Yo, whether someone walked in their way or we just honked to say thank you. Absolute fucking bullshit.
And you get a ticket for that?
Yep.
Yeah. It seems like you're not the only one. There are a couple of more
There's
cars.
Everybody. Yo, yeah. Pull more people over. Absolute tyranny. Fuck Trudeau.
She's just like, honey, can we please go? Undercover trucks, as you can see, just pulling over anybody who honks in support.
That's
It's
insane.
It's insane, yes.
What do you make of this? You just honked and now you're getting pulled over and
Yes, he can't even tell me any more than, oh, there's an injunction. You can't honk your horn. And I go, so you can't honk your horn ever? Well, yeah, there's an injunction. So that was his excuse to me.
wow.
Bro, this is insane.
Oh, Canada.
Well away with it. Thank you.
How much is the ticket?
$89.
Wow.
No, $81.
For honking. And how much did you honk?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
Maybe honk 3 times.
Well,
Isn't this an interesting world, eh?
it is. It really is.
So here.
Yeah, that's $81 right there.
Now you can't even honk your horn in Calgary.
What's that in American? What's that in US?
Like 60, probably 60.
Honk, honk.
See, that's the down the street every Saturday.
$65.
And now it's illegal.
Okay. Wow. So I have to ask you though. I think I've asked you this before, and I'm curious to know if you think anything has changed, because obviously here in the States, nobody trusts the system, right? You're going to have the crazy left who's going to say, well, obviously we're the majority, and if anybody votes conservative, then that's cheating. And then you're going to have all the Trump supporters who are going to say, well, this system is rigged, it's all been rigged, and 81 million votes is a lie, it's fraudulent. Allegedly. That's not me. I believe everything that I'm told. So it's not me, Susan, or Zuckerberg, or whoever's watching, or that new guy on Twitter. Anyways, do you still think that, can the system that you guys have in place, can that be trusted? Is Trudeau going to be gone? When's the next election? Like, when do you get rid of this guy? How does that even happen? Are they just going to send in another weirdo liberal, or it's going to be an establishment conservative who's not going to do anything? Where does this go from here? It's crazy. It's China.
Well, here's what's going on here. Well, first of all, the cities are so much bigger than the rural areas. There's no middle America. There's middle provinces, but it's nowhere near the population. So you get as many seats. You need a third of the vote to win. Trudeau won again last year. His third time he's won. So he's there. He says he plans on running beyond 2020. They just signed up an official agreement between him and the far left party, the NDP, a coalition. So they basically own 50% of the vote or more. They'll team, which they already kind of do. They already team up together for everything, anyways. But this is making it like putting a middle finger in your face, essentially. So we've got them for at least another 3 years, unless something happens where they're just like, oh, snap election because we think we can gain ground. But the thing in Canada is, what happens once you call an election, screw yourself over. You could lose a bunch of seats. All of a sudden, you have less power. You were wrong. But elections can happen out of nowhere. The Conservative Party is having their race this, I think, September. There's like 6 guys involved. One of them is a French guy who used to be a liberal. Can't be trusted. One guy is the guy we caught, David Menzies caught playing his own private hockey games when the rinks were shut down in his city. Who else is there? Another woman named Leslyn Lewis. She's nice. She's smart, but like basically all your typical establishment conservative views. Then a guy named Pierre, who's your best bet, but still, like, he's going to be the same. He didn't say anything about lockdowns before. He didn't come out against, the COVID jail hotels before. So it's all the same. They also use Dominion voting for their leadership races. The Alberta government, which I mentioned, wants to use mail-in ballots for their next election. So a lot of fuck, if you will. And, people still somehow like Trudeau. The East Coast, which is full of retirees, still, they don't pay attention. My father being one of them. Sorry, Dad. He's like pro-liberal on one hand, but also thinks that the government's trying to kill him on the other hand. It's really weird. He just votes for whoever's French anyways. The vote for he doesn't have an accent. And vote for the French man, of course.
But
Sorry, Dad.
but with all that said, at least it's it can be trust. Well, I guess the Dominion stuff is a different ball game, but it's like here, I just genuinely don't believe that Joe Biden got 81 million votes. I don't believe. Oh well, right?
I don't know
like,
if you can say that.
look,
It's so
here.
terrible. He does
True.
believe.
I do.
He believes everything.
I believe that all of the people that were burning down the country for the second half of 2020, they all diligently put their mail-in ballots in the mailbox right on time, perfectly for Joe Biden. All of those people, right? Because that's
Remember
what
all
we
those
are told
Project
to believe.
Veritas mailman videos? There's
Yeah,
just so
dude.
many corrupt mailmen.
Yep. And
Bastards.
the
I thought I
was it
trusted you.
was it Detroit? I forget where it was where they were putting up the boards.
Chicago.
Chicago. Yeah.
Oh,
Look.
it was Detroit where they boarded up the windows so you couldn't see.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, they wouldn't let the Republican observers in.
The pipe burst and all sorts of things. So
That's
So
right.
you guys don't have. So you basically have a different problem of just stupid people and boomer. Shout out all the boomers. My parents are boomers, but so it's people who the brainwashing has
It's
worked on.
mindset.
Okay, so the people who have been properly controlled. Because I just don't think that's the same here. Because traveling throughout a whole bunch of states, you see enthusiasm for Donald Trump. Now, he kind of lost a step with the juice and all that stuff. But back during election time, you could see giant billboards that people had paid for. You could see bumper stickers, obviously the rallies, the boat parades, all that stuff. And Joe Biden didn't have any of that. And we are now made to believe that he is more popular than your black savior, Barack Obama. It's just not possible. So you guys just have a problem of people who are too plugged into the matrix versus the matrix just overriding the people, which I think
As
is what
far
we
as we
have.
know, I mean, I like our paper ballot system, which is far, far better than the U.S. system of show up and vote whoever you say you are. Ours is register, make
And you
sure
come
you're
back with a
registered
mustache.
online. Ours is make sure you're registered online for your address. Bring in your ID or a bill sent to your address. And if your name's on the list, they check to see if your name on the list matches your ID. And then they give you, say, go over here. And then a person of a table gives you a tiny little, and then you go behind a cardboard divider and you press an X in your thing. And then you give it to the old lady who is nice enough to take your vote for you. Actually, no, you don't. That's wrong. You put it in the box secretly. You are behind the cardboard divider. You put an X. You put it in the box. You come back. You give them your little pencil. You say thank you. Much better than James O'Keefe going in pretending to be Eminem and voting as him, and then voting in a burqa and people saying ID is racist. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
And it's assumed you go vote at a school here. You can go and vote at most old folks' homes. Like it's not hard to be able to vote here. Let me just say that. So that part I like. But like you said, you've got the British Columbia, which is basically like your not quite Seattle, more San Francisco. It's not quite violent. You've got Alberta, who wants to be Texas, but there's so many boomers there that just trust everything the government says. Then you've got the Midwestern provinces of Manitoba and Saskatchewan. That's fine. They're pretty conservative, but they only have 1 million people each. Got Ontario, which, the North, for some reason, because of unions and mining, natural resource, they seem to vote left for the union people. And you've got the big cities like Toronto where they vote liberal, and then everybody else votes conservative, so it's all mixed and matched. Then you've got the French who vote for their own thing, which screws everybody else over. And then the East Coast loves Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party because they think it's the same Liberal Party from 1970s, which was okay, but still not that much better. Policies are just getting worse now. So it's very hard for anybody to get anywhere. And it's just Justin Trudeau winning with like 33%, and the Conservatives get 31% of the seats, even though the Conservatives usually win I think they won the last 2 popular votes. And then the Fringe Party, the People's Party, which is more in line with, what the Freedom people are in line with, they got 200,000 votes, which is, not nearly enough for anything. They don't have any seats.
So people don't like freedom. They don't want the freedom.
No,
they don't like it.
Canadians don't actually like liberty. They don't fight for gun rights. They don't fight for free speech rights. They don't fight for much of anything. I mean, if you think about how many phone companies do you think you have an opportunity to use off the top of your head?
At least 5 or 6.
Okay, we have 2. So Rogers and Bell, and the other ones like Udo, Telus, all these other little ones, they're owned by the big guys. So when Verizon tried to come to Canada, these giant organizations said, "Oh no, that's un-Canadian. If we let them in, they're not a Canadian company. We can't let them in. They'll be un-Canadian." So the giant companies say a third option can't come in, and all of a sudden, that's great. We all love each other, and it's very patriotic for us to keep competition out, which would drive the prices down. Even though Justin Trudeau, initial election, he promised the prices of phones would go down, and promised all this stuff. He's a very loving guy, but we can't even have that sort of competition. That's how little freedom we have, is we can't have cell phone competition. So ours remain high. Our internet speeds are slow. Our diversity is high. We take in lots of immigrants, not nearly as many illegals as you guys do, but we only have one border for that, called Roxham Road. It's in Quebec. People fly to New York and then get taxi to
We
the
can
border.
maybe get you some illegals like from the southern border. I'll see if I can.
Ours are all like Nigerians and Caribbeans and stuff. But imagine like you've got Southern California as a country, pretty much. But instead of Mexicans, you have Indians and Chinese. And not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just that's just who is here as opposed to who's in Southern California. So it's very liberal.
That's
Can't
hate
have any
speech.
guns. Your taxes are high. Illegal immigrants come in at very large numbers, whether you like that or not. And then nobody cares about the freedom, but they care about trans rights and everything like that. So it's like a mini California with conservative leaders who are basically like crooked Democrats. That's what our conservatives are basically establishment Democrats, and that's what our policy is like.
Yikes. Yeah, you should move to Arizona,
Fun
man.
times.
Or Texas, I guess. Tennessee actually sounds good too. I thought about Tennessee as well, but Arizona, we'll see though, because it's about to get hot. It's 90
Yeah,
degrees
it
now.
seems like it's probably too hot there.
It's about to get hot, and that's the only thing that kind of scares me. So we'll see how this summer treats me,
But
otherwise.
Phoenix does have basketball, hockey, football.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I do need sports wherever
We
I
have the Super Bowl next year.
Oh,
Now,
that's
of course,
cool. Maybe you'll go. Probably not.
well, if I win the
Get
lotto or
tickets
something.
now.
But it's hilarious. So we have the Phoenix Suns, which are pretty good. The Cardinals, I think, were pretty good, but they got ousted in the playoffs. And now the Super Bowl will be here next year, and the racial division campaign initiative or whatever is already saying that they want to cancel the Super Bowl because of voting rights. Like they don't want Arizona to have the Super Bowl because who knows? It's
The
basically
argument that
because of
keeps
the
on giving.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of things that keep on giving, no tranny swimmers this week. We're done.
That's fair. That saga is finally like Puff Daddy. The saga continues, but no more. Just like Puff Daddy. All right, Eric. I think we have to go now. It's been a rough ride in Canada lately, but at least I don't have to wear a mask anymore. Not that I really did. I mean, if somebody came close to me, I might pull it up, but mainly just around my chin. But like first day after, Eric, I don't think most people even knew. A woman staring at me at Walmart for not being masked up ran her shopping cart into a display. That's a true story. Crashed into a display, staring at my girlfriend and I. It was insane.
It's your bare face is scaring the normies out there, so be careful.
Yesterday, spent too much time at the mall. Found this really sweet store called Hot Seat. I think it was called Hot something. And you'd love the store. You laugh now, but it's all vintage sneakers on one wall. So like $400 sneakers, let's say. And then on the other wall, it's all vintage sports clothing. Bought what university did I buy it from? Either way, it looked much smaller. And then I put it on, and it was like one of those windbreaker pullovers that I would wear in like the 90s. Turned out to be the size of a linebacker. Got to take it back. But just a whole bunch of sweet vintage sports clothing. Like they had the old like Iverson and Steve Nash jerseys where it's like the half sleeves, like the wide shoulders.
Oh yeah,
all that sorts of clothing. Hot Box, it's called Hot Box. So it's my new favorite store. Lots of people at the mall not wearing masks though. Which is
Good.
promising.
Good. We're getting rid of the mask. It's
Good.
over. It's been over.
Get rid of your mask.
It never really
Spit at
started
people?
actually, but you know, is
I
what it
was
is.
spitting on people all day.
The droplets.
That's
Oh, the droplets. That's Fauci.
Oh, my droplets.
Oh, bro, we got a mess, man. We got a mess. Hopefully, I still think every week for however many months that somebody is going to wake up. And just really quick, last thing here, I think that
Mhm.
it is actually possible because I can think of 2 people who have snapped out of it. So while it might not sound like much, I can think of 2 people who were all in at the beginning and have since been like, this doesn't make sense. And now they're questioning everything. So we shall never give up trying to convince people, even if it's over, that it was all stupid and you need to think about what you're doing before you do it, because they're going to try to foist another one on us very soon. So says Bill Gates.
All right, my dad's calling me. He might be yelling at me for making fun of him, so I gotta go. Good luck, everybody.
Buy my book.
Turn it up, Jordan.